What's up, guys? I'm Tom Harvey here at Huntington Lacrosse Unlimited, or we like to call the Mecca of Lacrosse Unlimited. Today we'll be stringing ECDIon Frost. ECD did such a great job with this head. It's truly a stringer's dream. Countless holes on the side. Any pattern you like to do. One of the most popular heads in the game. ECD really knows what they're doing. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, we have the ECDIon right here. All right, ECD did a great job with this head. Very easy to string, great for all ages. One of the most popular heads in the game right now. We have a piece of Hero 3.0, Carolina Striker. Matches beautifully with this head. All right, so right now we're just stretching the mesh out. ECD actually revolutionized the mesh game. It took it from where it was about 20 years ago to where it is now, where it's almost an instantaneously break-in time. All right, this mesh is super soft. I'm using a piece of semi-soft right now. It's great. It has great hold on the ball, great feel when you string it up. So I just like to stretch it out so when we're gonna put it in the head, that it gets to each side very easily. So we're gonna start on the 9 diamond. So each mesh has either 9 or 10 diamond. We're gonna start on the 9 diamond. So each hole matches up easily with the top holes. I'm gonna grab our top string, start with a double knot, so the string doesn't slip through the hole. And we're gonna be starting on the second hole on the sidewall. I like to start in this hole so the mesh doesn't bunch up, gives it a lot of space to connect from the sidewall to the first top string. I always like to double loop to give it some extra stability. Make sure that knot stays nice and tight. Give us a good starting foundation. A lot of different ways you could do a top string. Okay, that's how the game has evolutionized, especially in the stringing, the technology, the different creative stringers that are out there. There's so many different varieties. This is my personal favorite way. We start in the back, in the front of the head. You come down. Pulling it nice and tight. We're gonna go in between the 9 diamond and the 10 diamond, grabbing this little connector. I personally love this way because it pulls the mesh as tight as it can to the head to prevent any mesh from dropping down and creating a loose top string and a loose pocket. So after we're there, now we go into the back of the head. Loop. And now we have our first top string knot. We're gonna skip the second top string, going through top of the mesh. So it's gonna sit right there. So when we eventually get to the break-in time, this is when we break it in, we're gonna push the pocket out. And this is gonna keep this mesh staying nice and tight to that top scoop. Front of the head. Down through the mesh, back up. Back of the head. You really want to get that top string nice and tight. The foundation of the head, it's the starting point of the head. If you have a loose top string, the rest of your head is gonna become loose and its ball is gonna come out and hit this scoop. you're not going to have a smooth release. So now we come to the middle point of the scoop, down through the mesh, back up, grabbing that piece. It's going to sit nice and tight in that middle. Back through the front of the head, down through the hole. I'm going to skip another top hole, back through the mesh, up, under, front of the head, through the hole, back of the head, through the hole. All right, so we got to our last scoop top string hole. Now we're going to finish off. We're going to go through the back of the mesh, through the second sidewall hole. I'm going to replicate the knot where we started from. Through the side, we're going to go back through the mesh, back of the mesh, loop it around, do the double loop to really anchor our finishing knot off. One more time around. Nice and tight. We're going to finish with a double knot. Make sure that knot is tight as possible. And there we have it, our completed top string. And again, this is the starting point of our pocket. We really want to make it tight. This is the starting point of the pocket. This is the foundation of it. If it's any slack, it's going to carry on in the rest of the head, and we're not going to string a nice pocket. And really make sure that our top string is tight. So when we're throwing and releasing, the ball does not hit the scoop, and we have a nice smooth release. So now we're going to get started on the first sidewall pattern. We're going to do a mid pocket in it, good for beginners. Nice smooth release, nice little channel, following up with some good hold. We're going to duplicate the double wraparound. I think it locks it down very nice, and I think it also makes the stick look a lot cleaner. Through the mesh, back through the outside of the sidewall. Nice and tight. So we're going to start to skip 2 holes. The reason we're skipping 2 holes, we're going to start our anchor knot on the 6th sidewall hole. This is going to start pulling the mesh down to create our channel for our stick. So I like to do the anchor knot. We start from the outside. We go back through the front of the mesh, up and around, and pull down. We're gonna make sure we get it nice and tight. This is the starting point of the stick's channel. We're gonna skip 2 sidewall holes, same knot. We are skipping 2 more sidewall holes, finishing up with another anchor knot. I want to bring you in closer to see how this knot is really tied down. So start through the outside of the hole, through the front of the mesh, loop around. So we're going to keep our hands like this to really extend it so we know where to put the top of the sidewall through. Come through, I'm going to pull down nice and gently to start, to form that knot. I'm going to pull the side, really lock that mesh down, create that tight channel. So now we're going to move on to our singles. We're going to go up through the front of the mesh, pull down, locking that mesh in. Single knot, we start through the outside of the sidewall, back through, pulling down. We're going to replicate this 2 more times. Through the front of the mesh, back through the outside of the sidewall, pulling down. So now we're going to do a double. We're going to go through the front of the mesh again. I'm going to replicate that one more time. This is going to bunch the mesh up, create that mid pocket, and we're going to skip one so that mesh can move freely as the ball shifts throughout the stick. Now we're back to our singles. One, another single through the front of the mesh. So now we're going to finish off, tie the mesh off. I like to go through the back of the sidewall and tie off. All right, so on the other side, we're going to repeat the same exact pattern, starting on the third sidewall hole with our double loops. Now that we've finished the top string, the sidewalls, it's time to break in, work in the pocket a little bit before we put the bottom string in. So even though baseballsucks.com is a link to our website, we still got to use a baseball bat to break in that pocket. Really want to work it in all over the stick. Flip it over. Some elbow grease in it. So now we're going to finish up with our bottom string. I like to start on the second hole in, loop around, we're going to go on a 10 diamond row. We're going to skip one, go through the bottom, and then we're going to weave all the way through the diamonds to the other side. In, out, in, out, finish with an in, down through the outside, last bottom hole, loop around, pull down, nice and tight, tie off. You don't want that hole slipping through and that ball coming out of the bottom of the stick. Here we have it. ECDIon. Nice mid pocket. Nice smooth channel. We're going to throw our shooters in. Alright, so now we're going to throw our shooters in. Even though we could play with this stick without shooters, we're going to throw them in. We're going to make sure when we're putting our shooters in, we don't go below 4 inches to keep in with the new NCAA high school rules. So when starting a shooting string, I like to go through the plastic to really lock it in so it does not shift with the mesh when you are passing or shooting. So when we are implementing the shooting string, we're going back and forth, one over the other, across the stick, throughout the diamonds. One goes on bottom, one goes on top, pull through, and repeat throughout the course of the stick. Hey, bud, come here. What shooters would you like to put in this head?
Pink.
Pink? All right. All right, so we got a customer here. What's your name, buddy?
Beckham.
Beckham?
Yeah.
Beckham here. He's a lucky customer of the day. Came in at the right time. He's gonna get this stick that we just strung up, and he wants to throw some pink shooters in it. Go with the cotton candy look. What's cooler than that? When stringing, we gotta make sure the shooters aren't too tight so the ball doesn't hook out. I want that smooth release. Flow with that channel. I'm gonna do a knot. I like to do a knot here. I don't like to tie my knots. I like to loop it. Throw one more shooter in for Beckham. As we do this process, we're going through the stick, throughout the mesh, one over the other. So here we have it, ECD Hero 3.0 Striker, pink shooters. Now we just gotta cut and burn. Beckham's got himself a free head. Shout out to Lacrosse Unlimited, best in the business. All right, here we go. All yours, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beckham and Huntington, Lacrosse Unlimited, and make sure you should like and subscribe.
Salva, can you actually grab me a scissor, please?
Yeah.
Someone just throw a pair of scissors?
Yeah, I did.
Good content.